Why am I not buying the Louis Vuitton magnetic lipstick? Rimasani, how you do?
I was so lonely, you were so charming. Tell me, dear, oh, was I to blame for falling in love with you? Oh, baby, baby. Now when I'm lonely, I want you only. Ever knew, oh, was I to blame for falling in love with you? Oh, baby, no, baby, no. I looked at you, I never knew I had met my fate. I tried to go with love, sad way.
Do you know why only trashy, new money, and ladies who are insecure buy Louis Vuitton lipstick? This is my Armani lipstick that, I've had for years. Sorry, Letitia. And, I bought it because I met my friend Letitia, so she went Nordstrom, and I was like, okay. You know what, I need to buy something. I might as well buy something to say hello. I know that sounds awful. Anyway, so, yeah, and it's lovely. I love the, it's supposed to be like this, but I have, as you notice, the color's fabulous, but I don't wear it. So this from Armani is better, right? Anyway. I'll save you a lot of money. Go to Armani. It stays on much better. So you notice the liquid lipstick, right? It stays on better. And this is Armani, and it's much better quality than Louis Vuitton. Even though I think I bought it for 60, something like this, right? It's half the price of Louis Vuitton. I don't know, 68 it was, something of that sort. Okay? And you know what's even better? Armani pencil, so 45. And then I pair it with Maybelline lipstick, and this is what gentlemen think is the most expensive, because it doesn't get on glasses, it does not get on food or anything, it does not get on my husband, and elite gentlemen think that is the most expensive. So that is what I recommend. So yeah, I don't recommend Louis Vuitton lipstick. Only broke and never riche and never poor ladies wear that. Elite ladies do not wear Louis Vuitton. This form of lipstick, mine is Armani. I should be better spending our money, but no, you know what? I mean, I bought it, I never, ever, ever used it, right? Ever, okay? And that's the problem. I bought it because, my friend recommended it, but I never wear this sort of lipstick, because this lipstick that's not liquid is rubbish. It will go all over everyone, okay? It's because of the formula. This is overpriced rubbish. Don't buy rubbish like this. Don't buy this. You know what's worse than this? What's worse than this? Is buying the Louis Vuitton version. And I am so sorry. One of my friends, her husband, designed the case. It's so beautiful. The case is so high quality. It's gorgeous. It's much better than Armani for sure. Much better. Okay? The engineering is so premium. However, I would never buy this. and no elite women I know would buy this. Why? Let's go back to the etiquette. So, when you're at dinner, you cannot do this. Oh, I'm hot. Look at me.
What the fuck are you doing?
Look at Misha. Exactly. See, you know what? See, my husband's reaction is exactly what happens when you apply lipstick on a date. That is how vulgar it looks, right? Would you agree? Imagine if you spend all this money to take me out for dinner, which costs more than any lipstick, and I whip out my lipstick like, it's an airplane or a gun, and I just like put it all over my face. What would your reaction be?
Fuck, you're not filming that kind of movie.
See, I mean, it's awful. Applying lipstick on a dinner date is not elegant at all, and poor etiquette for a reason. You notice my husband interrupting me and reacting to how silly it is, because if he's paying for the dinner date, the last thing he wants me to whip out is my makeup on the date. It looks ridiculous. It looks like I'm a Neanderthal with no house training. So this is what you don't do.
What the? Stop it! It looks ugly. It sounds ugly. Like, really, what are you doing?
See, this is what you don't do over dinner. That's my point. I'm teaching ladies etiquette, my love. And there's so many movies that teach ladies wrong. That teach ladies, oh, you apply makeup. No, there's a reason why, ladies, you don't do this in public, okay? Aside from my husband, right? And so my husband, of course, thinks what I was doing right now is ugly, right? But most men do, okay? So there's a reason for the etiquette, which is what I'm explaining, right? And I'm a certified etiquette consultant in diplomatic protocol and etiquette. In addition to being a certified image consultant and a haute couture designer. And I worked in the parliament and so on and so forth. As Miss Universe finalist. So, I don't recommend applying lipstick in public for a good reason, right? Because, gentlemen don't find it attractive. So, why don't gentlemen find it attractive? Well, did you know that my mother never, ever applied her makeup in front of my father? And anytime she tried to correct her lipstick in private, my dad would say no. You're beautiful, why do you need lipstick? He had no idea that she had lipstick on, right? So when she would try to correct it in person at home, forget anything else, She knew it was bad manners, but she was like, oh, it's my husband, I've been married to him for years. Doesn't work, right? You see my husband's reaction. There is a reason for etiquette, right? You don't, apply your makeup. My love. My love.
What the hell? Stop it. What are you doing? It's ugly. Really?
Ladies, see, this is why you should never apply your makeup in front of your spouse, let alone your dinner date who you just met, and you're applying lipstick in front of your dinner date? Are you insane? My love, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't ruin your evening. So, yes, so this is the problem. When you put on your makeup, and worse, when you put on your false lashes in front of your gentleman and you apply your lipstick in public, It's ugly because you look false. I'm lucky because if it were my dad, I'd be sent back to my room. Yeah, my dad is not like this at all. I do my hair and makeup and see my dad, he's okay. I do no makeup and see my dad, he's okay. But if I apply anything in front of my dad, because my dad taught me to be a lady. A lady does not apply her makeup in front of others. This is why ladies who are buying this Louis Vuitton garbage lipstick have no home training and are both usually ugly and poor. And I'll tell you why. So I'll show you what I have that gets used versus what doesn't. And this does not. Any lipstick in this format. And this is nice little Armani thing, which was probably the most expensive before this. Louis Vuitton, useless rubbish. Well, you know what? I have never touched it. I just got it to, make my friend happy who was a sales associate there. That's all, right? And then I realized, oh my goodness, I don't use it. I feel bad. I tried to sell it, but of course I don't buy it because, I didn't have the original packaging. I just took it out of the packaging and I never use it. This is the problem. Ladies, this is why you do not apply lipstick in front of your date. It's for etiquette, right? You don't apply lipstick or your makeup in front of your date. So why only ugly or broke or wannabe women will buy this lipstick of Louis Vuitton that's 160 or so and so forth, right? This lipstick is no different, but unlike the Louis Vuitton lipstick, it stays on me. Observe. See? You don't see it. Elite and other gentleman quality lipstick because it doesn't go on the glass unlike most lipsticks. And this is Maybelline 24 hours, and I just added a bit of Armani pencil for color. So you put it on and then wait for 5 minutes. And however, if you're dining and you have anything with oil, like a salad with dressing, the oil mimics waterproof makeup remover, right? Same with salmon oil, right? If you're eating salmon, therefore, of course, it will go off. But where do you reapply your lipstick? So with etiquette, you reapply it in the powder room, the ladies' room, the loo, etc. So you say, excuse me, and then you get up. You don't say why you should be excused. Where are you going? You say, I'm going to powder my nose. Okay? At most, that's what you say. If asked, but don't go, excuse me, I go to powder my nose. No. So, on a date, say, excuse me, and get up to go to the ladies' room. So ladies, when you're on a date or any official business, if you want to reapply, order after your meal with your dessert course a coffee, cappuccino or tea. So you finish your dessert and then say, excuse me, you get up and also say, I'll be right back. Make sure they don't take my coffee, tea, whatever. You leave. Then you, in the ladies' room or the powder room, you reapply the lipstick or the makeup that fell off, where gentlemen cannot see you. And then you return all refreshed and majestic. So gentlemen, assume you just put some water on your face, you freshened up, you returned, okay? You know what you did. But never break the magic and do your makeup in front of gentlemen. At most, if you're married, you can do your hair in front of them, at most, okay? Otherwise, you break the magic and break the spell. That's why it's called etiquette to do your makeup or your lipstick in front of gentlemen, right? In front of dates, in front of strangers, in front of people you don't know. So if you're doing your makeup in front of anyone but your mother, this shows that you have no home training. You're maybe poor, or raised by wolves, or you're breaking the social rules because you are a murderous femme fatale in a movie or something like this, right? So yes, we see in movies, right, some actress go, ooh, look at me, look at Misha, right? But and then she unalives someone, right? Because she breaks the social rules by applying the lipstick in public. And then she further breaks the social rules by unaliving someone, right? So that's the femme fatale. She is fatale. They fell in love and she was, right? And they die because she took the gun and unalived them. That's why they die, okay? Or she applying your lipstick in public, don't do that. So when they show in old Hollywood movies an actress applying her lipstick, either it shows that Audrey Hepburn, that she's not knowing the social rules of the game, that it's a small town lady in a big city who doesn't know the social rules, breakfast at Tiffany's. She's cute but socially awkward because she's really not from there, so it's fish out of water. Ooh, it's a femme fatale who is a rebel, who breaks the social rules on purpose. So that's why elite ladies, either you went to finishing school or it's just the habitus about you. No one applies lipstick in public. That's why you would not apply Louis Vuitton lipstick in public, right? You wouldn't apply the compact. And if someone says that you have lipstick between your teeth, then you take out your phone, right? And then if you are going to remove whatever, you go to the ladies' room, right? You don't take up your makeup compact because that's low class, right? Because you want to look as if it's all natural, right? Especially on a date, okay? So you never open your makeup compact in front of your date because that's low class. And even worse, you apply your lipstick, apply your makeup in public. That's just no home training whatsoever. So I don't see the point of this Louis Vuitton lipstick. And if you intend to show off, I have an advice. Buy caviar for your friends, or Buy Veuve Clicquot, I hear it's $85, $100. Buy a nice French champagne for your friends at a party. They'll appreciate it so much more than if you buy this ridiculous lipstick that I promise you will be vulgar, because it will go all over everyone.
And you'll never find, no matter where you search, someone who cares about you the way I do. No, I'm not bragging on myself, baby, 'cause I'm the one who loves you, and there is no one else. No, no one else. And you'll never find.
It's worse than cheap lipstick. Often the cheaper the lipstick, the better the quality up to a point. I mean, as in, if it's Western drugstore lipstick, it's the best quality. And you mix the Elite one to improve the color, I mean the Elite pencil to improve the color of the drugstore lipstick, because it's the best quality. So the higher quality you go, I mean the higher the price you go, the worse the quality. The cheaper the lipstick, the better the quality, because as the price goes up, you're paying for brand. Which is why my next video is where elite women buy their handbags, because they know, oh, the middle class was scandalized when the TikTok was showing, oh, Dior was made for $56 in China. And then you have the Louis Vuitton scandal, then you have the scandals, Loro Piana, and all the LVMH brands, they're made cheap in China, right? And to middle class, that was a scandal, but elite women, they know this for decades. And next video I'll show where they buy their handbags, and it's not from Dior. You'd be surprised. You'd think Dior and Chanel. Oh, many women know that anything mass market, if that many women have this bag, if thousands of women have this, just open Instagram, see how many women, or better TikTok, see how many women are unboxing it with receipts that can be verified that that's a real thing. And if you see the statistics, how many bags are made, you'll notice that there is no way it will be all handcrafted, right? That it will be all quality. It's not luxury anymore. It's premium. It's mass market. Mass market is premium. It's not luxury. And so you wonder where elite women buy their bags. And I went there. I'll show you where they buy the bags in the next video. So this is why you should not spend 160 or so on a lipstick. Most affluent ladies I know would not do this, right? And my husband would spend this much money on buying someone, a French champagne or whatever. He would spend much more just to go and take me out to a restaurant. So, right, it's nothing. But for a lipstick, it's too much, right? So, elite women will spend far more. If they really like Chanel, they'll spend it on Chanel. And it's okay to wear Chanel purse or Prada purse. A handbag. It's not rude to go around like this, but it's rude to go around like this. Don't do that. So what did we learn? It's okay for elite ladies, if they feel like it, to wear a designer handbag with a small logo or no logo. But it's not proper to pull out your makeup in public. It's something that is so important in etiquette. Please, ladies, act like you have home training on a date, or you don't fit in, and therefore he thinks that you're not someone he can introduce to his mama, and you only be for fun, so don't do it. I think Louis Vuitton is desperate to have an overpriced type of a lipstick, they have grandmama lipstick from dinosaur fossils, and they sell it for 3 times whatever grandma's lipstick cost. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And women who buy it show they have no class. And I do regret to say this, because my friend's husband created the case, and it's a beautiful case, everything's beautiful. But the quality, when you have a lipstick of this formula, it's not going to work, right? And if you have a lipstick of this type of a liquid formula, and again, I bring my Chanel, right? And voila. The formula of something like this will stay on you much better. It's not the best, but Maybelline's the best when it comes to this, but it will still stay on you much better than something like this, okay? So when you're having something like this, it will look much better. It is what it is. So the problem with Louis Vuitton is that their branding is a bit dinosaur. They're forced youthful. So Sephora brings brands like Fenty, right? Huda Beauty and others who are actually young, Gen Z, authentic. As in millennial brands that are authentic to Gen Z, right? And if you censor these brands, you're going to lose the Gen Z. Louis Vuitton has a creative crisis on their hands, which is predictable. So, either they want to innovate or they want to be cute. They have to choose. So either they want to innovate or they want to be a dinosaur. So what's the crisis? So Huda Beauty said some controversial statements, okay? Some are accurate and some are not. But I will go to my Italian art history to tell you why it doesn't matter what she said, okay? Censoring Huda Beauty makes you automatically boomer and irrelevant to the next generation. So if Louis Vuitton censors Huda, then their young clientele will go on her website and buy from there. And she has all sorts of discounts. Then they'll buy Fenty from there. And they'll think, oh, we'll buy Fenty online. They'll buy everything online and no one will come in store. Because it's all those authentic, young, cultural, woman of color brands and makeup artist brands and so on. Let's talk about makeup, shall we? Okay. MAC has some of the best quality makeup that Dior does not, right? Okay. And why do I know? Because drag queens go to MAC. You will see MAC anti-AIDS like fundraiser lipstick. They're authentic for their drag queens. They go out for them, right? They're makeup artists who are actually gay and they care about their friends and it's about their lifestyle. So even if you're a traditional lady, you might not, let's say, agree with being trans or whatever, But you'll buy your makeup from MAC because you know that they're authentic about their makeup and live and let live, right? You know that they do supply the actual makeup for drag queens, and like some of their artists do drag and all this stuff, and they're authentic. You know, they're not pretend people who do things for corporate. It's a makeup artist who created a makeup brand. Therefore, it's excellent. You know, at Miss Universe, this is what most people use there, okay? That's a secret, but yeah. At Miss Universe, most beauty queens use MAC cosmetics, okay? Another excellent one is Charlotte Tilbury, because she is a makeup artist. Sure, from Louis Vuitton, Pat McGrath is excellent, but it's not Pat McGrath cosmetics, is it? It's Louis Vuitton, right? C'est le problème, n'est-ce pas? Oui, because the problem is that, alright, it's Louis Vuitton and it's not the brand of that makeup artist. Huda Beauty made her eyelashes, and her dad helped her, and Solomon and her family were putting them together and so on when she started. That's why her eyeshadows are the best. I use that, I mean, like, you know, that's my makeup, and I wear them and they last 24 hours if I don't remove them, right, with my waterproof makeup. So they are excellent, right? So at Sephora, Fenty, for example, is excellent because it's authentic. Rihanna is black, and before her, many ladies of color could not find their shade and couldn't even wear the same makeup, so she opened it up. You have Huda Beauty, who has authentic makeup for Middle Eastern ladies, and you have many different ladies, like Charlotte Tilbury is a makeup artist, and she's excellent for white ladies, and it's the best white lady makeup I've seen. Urban Decay Primer is the best one. So you have many authentic brands by actual makeup artists that actually work for you, right? And here is my problem with ADL, right? Or Israel Dinosaur League or something like this, that they went after Huda Beauty. Now, Huda Beauty is in the wrong, but so is ADL and Sephora, right? This is what I'm saying. They're all in the wrong. So Huda Beauty, she said two things incorrectly and one correctly. She did say that Israel, you know, had a link to 9/11, and it does, right? Israel did start 9/11 because Ariel Sharon did walk on the Temple Mount and did bomb the Lebanese women and children in Ghana, okay? So, and he threatened to blow up the, you know, third holiest site in Islam. There was some evidence that Cheney, Condoleezza Rice and Bush were collaborating with him because they wanted some conflict. Again, and there was this paper of Organization of New American Century in 1996 about this whole thing, about how they needed a catastrophic event like 9/11 to go into Iraq and have multiple wars like Iraq and Afghanistan and so on and so forth, right? Netanyahu said that 9/11 was an excellent event that benefited Israel. Not exactly in those words, but he said that, you know, it was absolutely beneficial for Israel, and it's good for Israel that it happened. If you're an American, you might find it distasteful. Again, I just searched for what he said. I just did not like it, so I'm just not going to re-traumatize myself and look it up again, but go look it up, it's not nice. But the point is, Ariel Sharon unalived many civilians in Lebanon and women and children, and then he decided to go on the Temple Mount with his army and threaten to blow it up. The result of those two events together was 9/11. I knew, and I changed my dollars into euros, and my family made a lot of money. And we also, everyone in the Middle East knew that, those, right, blow dryer people, I don't know what you call them, those terror ISIS or whatever you call them. Well, the 9/11 crazy people. Anyway, we knew that they were in flight. Half of them were in flight schools and all of this. And we thought, maybe America had that down, so we thought that they might, do something towards American embassies in retaliation, because people tried to do something to the Twin Towers before. So we imagined that the Americans knew these things and kept it in check. So when I was in high school and I saw the plane, people were like, oh my gosh, it's an accident. I said, no, it's not an accident. It's Bin Laden, and someone hampered telling the intelligence to the government officials, because we knew that this is what they're trying to do, but we thought the United States was taught this, and they were trying to go after an embassy, but okay. Anyway, so it's not that, they planned it. They were just being idiots, and they were antagonizing people as the colonialist pricks they usually are. I'll show you some Israeli behavior, and yes, as a result, right, if people behave like this, you can imagine there'll be a reaction, and it's not a good one. So, Huda Katan of Huda Beauty also said that Israel, Zionism, was behind World War I and 9/11. And I don't know how that even works, so that's not correct, okay? So World War I, World War II. So World War II was caused by Stalin, okay? Because he wanted to manipulate the Germans to invade Western Europe and then take whatever he can get, and it started with the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. So yes, and as much as Stalin wanted to create an Israeli state because he wanted to take advantage of the Russians who set kibbutz there, as soon as, there was the beginning of an Israeli state, they, stabbed the Soviet Union in the back because they were socialists, and, socialists are the enemies of the Marxists of the Soviet Union, right? So there were Social Democrats, which is the enemy, right? So of course, Social Democrats allied with the United States instead of allying with the Soviet Union. So Stalin saw the kibbutz and he thought, but those in the kibbutz, they had no problem with nationalism and all these things and capitalism. They just wanted, they were like, we will go and live our kibbutz, social democrat life. We will have our social programs as long as capitalists respect us, we respect the capitalists, we don't have a problem with them. And Stalin very much had a problem with that, so Stalin initially supported all the terrorist gangs. Israel was started by terrorists, Irgun Stern gang. They, of course, they didn't like to admit it, but they were created, when the British were weak after World War II. The Russians supported Irgun and Stern gangs who created an upgar using terrorism, okay? And then instead of saying thank you to the Russians for helping them create a state and liberating them from the British, the Israelis, first of all, they saw what the Irgun and Stern gangs did. They didn't like it. They tried to break them down, arrest them, and all these things. Though without them, they couldn't have a state, so they benefited from them and they broke them down and said, hey, you're crazy, okay? Don't do that anymore. Alright? That's insane. And they said, okay, we're not aligned with these people. We're going to work with Europe and the United States instead of Russians because this is insane. And then Stalin was so upset that he turned around and said, okay, I will create the Palestinian national movement and I will teach Palestinians terrorism. So that's what happened, and terrorism has nothing to do with Islam. It's all about Joseph Stalin being upset that, basically Israelis didn't support him, so he went and supported the Palestinians. I have no idea how this has any relation. And as for saying, oh, he's Marxist, Marx was Jewish, Marx was an anti-Zionist Jew, though his parents had converted to Lutheranism. Okay, let's see if he was Jewish. We don't know if he was or not. Let's just pretend he was, okay? Assume. He still was an international socialist, so he believed the solution to the Jewish question was to forget the Jewish identity and, like Soros, make everyone forget nationality and break down the family unit and everything. Workers of the world unite, right? So World War I was started with the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Then, they had Serbia. Serbia's allies was Russia. Russia's allies was Great Britain, and everyone, got into this war. And then the Ottomans lost their lands, which the British and the French took, and sure. So Huda is not correct here. At the same time, cancelling Huda, not putting her at the front, is highly boomer, especially considering how prominent the Palestinian issue is, right? And this is a key thing among young people. Gay Pride was cancelled in Ottawa because the organizers of Gay Pride wanted the Palestinian cause to be at the forefront of Gay Pride, but all the boomers, like the city and the organizations, were like, oh, no, Palestinian cause. So the Palestinian cause right now is the Vietnam War, okay? It's the Vietnam War for Gen Z, whether we like it or not. As a millennial, I understand these dynamics. I can disagree. I condemned Hamas for October 7th. I can disagree, but I understand how things work, okay? And if you're Israeli or Zionist, listen up, because this is important. Because Israel lost the information war out of arrogance, thinking it was the 90s, that there was no internet, no social media, and they had all the control due to censorship and had control of Hollywood, control of the press, right? Young people had enough of boomers telling them how to live, okay? So what's going on here? The boomers did not transfer the wealth. The young people, the Gen Z, especially, also millennials, but especially Gen Z, we are the first generations who have it worse off than our parents. So the boomers are the last generation of prosperity, and they're holding all the wealth to themselves as a generation, not our individual parents, but as a generation, right? So the young people think, if we have to make avocado toast and buy Louis Vuitton lipsticks because we will never be able to save enough to have a mortgage, to have our own home like our parents, why should we care what our parents' generation of boomers say? So, I thought initially the Gen Z rebellion will be having healthcare at least as part of your taxes, because free Luigi and Mario brothers, etc., right? We know what happened there. You can Google Free Luigi and find out on your own, or Free Mario, or Luigi and Mario Brothers. You can Google and find out what happened. But it was about how American corporations deny at most healthcare claims that are serious, right? And when you're on the third stage of cancer, you have to keep suing. And then when you're fourth stage and you're about to meet God, then they will finally give you the money for treatment when it's too late, okay? That's the problem. But instead of solving that, the biggest being triggered and pushback and censorship happens to be related to Zionists. So Zionists are the biggest boomers and biggest establishment, so that is what has happened, right? So the biggest pushback to Gen Z has become related to Israel-Palestine. So Gen Z is using being pro-Palestine, even though they within gay pride, most gay people they don't really care about the Palestinian issue that I know of. So Huda is not correct here. At the same time, cancelling Huda, not putting her at the front, is highly boomer, especially considering how prominent the Palestinian issue is, right? And this is a key thing among young people. Gay Pride was cancelled in Ottawa because the organizers of Gay Pride wanted the Palestinian cause to be at the forefront of Gay Pride, but all the boomers, like the city and the organizations, were like, oh, no, Palestinian cause. So the Palestinian cause right now is the Vietnam War, okay? It's the Vietnam War for Gen Z, whether we like it or not. As a millennial, I understand these dynamics. I can disagree. I condemned Hamas for October 7th. I can disagree, but I understand how things work, okay? And if you're Israeli or a Zionist, listen up, because this is important. Because Israel lost the information war out of arrogance, thinking it was the 90s, that there was no internet, no social media, and they had all the control due to censorship and had control of Hollywood, control of the press, right? Young people had enough of boomers telling them how to live, okay? So what's going on here? The boomers did not transfer the wealth. The young people, the Gen Z, especially, also millennials, but especially Gen Z, we are the first generations who have it worse off than our parents. So the boomers are the last generation of prosperity, and they're holding all the wealth to themselves as a generation, not our individual parents, but as a generation, right? So the young people think, if we have to make avocado toast and buy Louis Vuitton lipsticks because we will never be able to save enough to have a mortgage, to have our own home like our parents, why should we care what our parents' generation of boomers say? So I thought initially the Gen Z rebellion will be having healthcare at least as part of your taxes, because free Luigi and Mario Brothers, etc., right? We know what happened there. You can Google Free Luigi and find out on your own, or Free Mario, or Luigi and Mario Brothers. You can Google and find out what happened. But it was about how American corporations deny at most healthcare claims that are serious, right? And when you're on the third stage of cancer, you have to keep suing. And then when you're fourth stage and you're about to meet God, then they will finally give you the money for treatment when it's too late, okay? That's the problem. But instead of solving that, the biggest being triggered and pushback and censorship happens to be related to Zionists. So Zionists are the biggest boomers and biggest establishment, so that is what has happened, right? So the biggest pushback to Gen Z has become related to Israel-Palestine. So Gen Z is using being pro-Palestine, even though they most, like within gay pride, most gay people not what they don't really care about the Palestinian issue that I know of.